Hey, this is the Old Gaming Geezer. Welcome to Shuttles That Never Flew, Part 2. Now then, what you're seeing here is one of the concepts for the Shuttle 2, which was different designs that were being investigated during the early 1980s by NASA for possible replacements for the Shuttle program. And they're using a lot of lessons that they learned while designing the original shuttle. And this has got those two solid rocket boosters across the side called the Space Transportation Boost Engines, which we will now drop. And there they go. And then we have two fuel tanks, also drop tanks, also attached to the wings. Now, the Shuttle 2 was more efficient and cheaper. Well, it was going to be. This particular design was going to be more efficient and cheaper than the shuttle that we all know and love. It could carry 10 tons of cargo into orbit and 8 astronauts. And, well, I had a little problem getting it into orbit. As you can see, it's I'm on a suborbital trajectory now, and I'm going to get into space, but I will not have enough fuel to circularize. So check it out. We're going to burn any second now. There we go. We're burning, and boom, we're out of fuel. Okay. Well, this thing is going to go down probably way too steep to survive. Actually, I know it did because I'm recording this a week or two later. Anyway, so the Shuttle 2 was just designed pretty much in-house by the Johnson Space Center and the Langley Space Center. And a lot of the things changed, and we lost our Cunards there, and the whole thing just exploded. Well, okay, well, not to be deterred, we're going to try again. And after the Challenger disaster, safety became a huge priority here. So the whole front of the orbiter, the whole crew capsule, was able to detach, and with those what looked like Cunards on the front, fly back down to Earth and land. That was the concept anyway. This was never tested. I don't think a prototype was ever built for this. So it was made of lightweight composite materials, and lighter and more powerful than the existing shuttle at the time. There, we've dropped our drop tanks, and this time again, we're not going to get into orbit, unfortunately. So the Shuttle 2 program was cancelled when Congress decided they'd rather use the shuttles they had and not start developing something new after the Challenger disaster. Now, there's very little information on this shuttle that I could find online, so the Shuttle 2 program, there was lots of different variations. This is just one that I kind of liked. A lot of them look like the standard STS shuttle that we know and love today, or what's been retired now. And there was one which was a two-plane variation where it was a large plane and a smaller plane, and the smaller plane was the orbiter and the large plane was the booster, and it would land back like a plane, but take off horizontally. Sorry, vertically. Take off vertically. But anyway, this one is coming down. I've lost my Cunards, and of course, when I'm... It was designed with the Cunards in mind, so I'm trying to get the nose up here and failing miserably. This was a better descent than the last one, obviously, but yeah, she's gonna hit the ground because I can't get the nose up. I'm trying everything, trying to adjust my flaps so I can pull the nose up, but it's just not going to happen. Really, isn't going to happen. Well, it's not a great. To be honest, it's not my best Kerbal Space Program space plane ever to be designed, but we're coming down. I thought I could land it, I really did, but as we slowed down, the nose started dropping, and there it's dropping, and any second now, in the nighttime, middle of the night, we're going to have, there we go, boom, Splatsville, and that's the end of that shuttle. And so, not to be deterred, we redesign, we rebuild, and we come up with this. Now, this is actually about a week or two later. I actually went through many different iterations of this before kind of going back to this one and redesigning it and rebuilding it. And eventually, well, we get it to launch, which is nice. And we take off, and there we go. We're about to drop our fuel tanks. Not our fuel tanks, our solid rocket boosters. Any second now, there they go. Solid rocket boosters. So I took this one at a much shallower angle, trying to maximize my horizontal velocity. Pulling over quite well. The sun is coming up. It's a beautiful day here in Kerbin as the Shuttle 2 launches. Now, as you can see on the front, I have added bigger wings and smaller rudders on the front. And this will come into play later when we're coming down. I still haven't made the front crew... there goes our fuel tanks. I still haven't made the front crew capsule detachable because, you know, I'm having enough trouble with this without making an escape system, so I just let it go as it is. And we are burning now to get our apoaps above the atmosphere. On the back of that, I decided to use Reliant engines, and I think there's 5 of them back there to push this thing into orbit. I did attempt it with the shuttle engines, but they just didn't have the Delta V to do what I wanted to do. So there we are. Our apoapsis is now at 75 kilometers, and we are now coasting up into space. Okay, as we are coming over that continent there, we're getting ready to burn to get us into orbit. Now, I'm very worried about my fuel. I do not have enough fuel on this ship to get into orbit. That is a fact. However, I do have a hell of a lot of reaction control monopropellant for my reaction control system. So we burn monopropellant, and eventually we get this thing into orbit. Not a perfect orbit, but it's an orbit. It's a safe orbit. And we're not quite there. We're at a safe orbit now, so that's it. We're up. We got it into orbit. Excellent. And that's actually the way the shuttle would work. It uses its orbital maneuvering thrusters to put itself into orbit after it dropped the fuel tank. This works slightly different. Just open the cargo bay doors there just to see that there's actually nothing in there. So now we're going to attempt to come back and land at the KSC. And to do this, we set up a maneuver node to get our periapsis about 35 kilometers above the KSC, just a little bit out to the ocean. And hopefully that will slow us down enough to get us landed. So we turn around and we get ready to use our RCS thrusters to slow us the hell down now to get us down there. And there we go. We start thrusting. And turn ourselves around. And there we have it. We are now on our return trajectory. We turn around to face prograde. And we're going to get this plane down. We're going to get it down. Everybody is going to walk away. I say that because I'm doing post-commentary, so I actually know what happens. But how does it happen? That's the question. So we're fast-forwarding now at 8 times time acceleration, because it actually I came in quite shallow, so it took quite a long time to get this in. And we are slamming through the air at high speed, compressing the air in front of us, ionizing it, heating it up, and burning through the atmosphere. So, I'm pretty happy with the way this was going at this point. Everything seemed to be working fine. There's no way that I could get a payload into orbit with this without redesigning my fuel system. But I think it's a good test. It's a good test of how this is going to work as the sun comes out and as the boys inside. You'll notice that Bill and Bob aren't in there. Bill and Bob are dead at this point. They died in several shuttle accidents. That's beautiful. The sun coming up as we're shooting through the sky like a bullet. Awesome. Yeah, so I killed a lot of Kerbals developing this shuttle. I don't know how many iterations I had. I probably had about 10 or 15 launches, and this is the first time I actually got it into orbit. So I'm pulling the nose up to slow down here, because there's the mountains to the west of the KSC there. So I'm trying to slow down, pull the nose up, and I'm not slowing down enough. So I'm trying to do a maneuver here by turning the shuttle and getting its planes horizontally into the wind, into the airstream, and I lose control. Very quickly lose control, and that was not good. Now, the good thing is we're slowing down like crazy here, but I managed to get it back onto the prograde. So, at this point I'm feeling pretty confident. Yeah, I can do this. Well, we're not quite on the prograde. I'm having trouble getting it exactly on the prograde. But we're slowing down more so now. At this point, I don't really think I'm going to get to the KSC. I think we're going to overshoot a little bit. But we've got enough cross-range capability that I could possibly land this on the island runway at this point. And then, now, it just spun out of control on its own. I did not do that. And at this point, I'm beginning to suspect that there are some serious aerodynamic problems with this with this plane. So we've slowed down enough now, but we're still slowing down and we're still tumbling. But I get it under control. And at this point, I think, okay, I could go for the island runway, but I'm close enough to the KSC that I could probably put it down on the fairway, adjusting my flaps there to get in. And it's going pretty well, going down. And then it happens again. The plane just spins out on its own. And at this point, I realize what's wrong is the wings and the Cunards and the rudders on the Cunards are developing too much drag on the front of the aircraft, pulling the nose around and spinning it out of control. So that is what's happening, and it's basically a design flaw. So if I was going to fly this thing again, I would redesign the fronts and smaller wings, smaller Cunards. I'd probably lose the rudders. The only reason why they're there is to bring it in line with the Shuttle 2 design, which the front of the orbiter was, as I said before, an escape vehicle that could fly and land on its own. But for the purposes of this test, it's just causing too much front drag. I got it under control there again, and it's still spun out. There is nothing that I could do here. Absolutely nothing. But we're just falling out of the sky now. And I think another failure. Kerbal's going to die. It's all going to end in horror and flames and death. And there we go. We've crashed. But we survived. You know what? I'm going to call this mission a success, because any mission that your Kerbals can walk away from is a success. So that was the Shuttle 2, one of the many design concepts of the Shuttle 2, which unfortunately was never brought to the prototype stage. An interesting design, something that would have been nice if NASA had the funding to investigate it further, but alas, I couldn't get it to work. This is the old gaming geezer signing off. Good night, farewell, Auf Wiedersehen, adieu.